In 1994, a small country in the heart of Africa became the scene of one of the most fastest and devastating genocides of the 20th century. For approximately 100 days, men, women, and children were hunted and killed. The overwhelming majority of those targeted were Tutsi. Hutu political opponents and others who resisted the killings were also murdered. But the genocide did not just begin on April 6, 1994. Its roots stretch back decades to colonial policies, political discrimination, ethnic tensions, civil war, and extremist propaganda. And before the killings, there were warnings. For centuries, Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa communities lived in Rwanda within a complex social and political system. During colonial rule, however, German and later Belgian authorities increasingly treated Hutu and Tutsi as rigid ethnic categories. Identity cards eventually recorded ethnicity, helping transform social distinctions into political divisions. After their independence in 1962, political power shifted towards Hutu-led governments. Many Tutsi experienced discrimination and violence, forcing large numbers into exile. In 1973, Juvenal Habyarimana seized power in a military coup. Then, in 1990, the Rwanda Patriotic Front, that is the RPF, entered Rwanda from Uganda, beginning a civil war. Peace negotiations eventually produced the Arusha Peace Agreement in August 1993, but extremist forces opposed the power sharing agreement. By early 1994, Rwanda was becoming increasingly dangerous. Militias were organized. In January 1994, UNAMI commander Major General Romeo Dallaire sent a warning to United Nations violence. The warnings would later become central to one of the most painful questions surrounding Rwanda genocide. How much did the world know about the upcoming genocide, and why did it fail to act? Then, on the evening of April 6th, everything changed. The aircraft carrying President Juvenal Habyarimana of Rwanda and President Cyprien Ntaryamira of Burundi was shot down as it approached Kigali. Both presidents were killed. Within hours, organized killings began in Kigali. Prime Minister Agathe Uwilingiyimana was murdered. 10 Belgian UN peacekeepers assigned to protect her were also killed. Belgium subsequently withdrew its troops, and on April 21st, the United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 912, reducing and restructuring UNAMI during the crisis. As the international presence diminished, the killing intensified. What followed was not simply spontaneous violence. Political authorities, military forces, militias, and local officials helped organize and mobilize the killing. Roadblocks were established. Identity cards could determine who was targeted. Radio broadcasts spread extremist propaganda and encouraged hatred. Tutsi civilians sought refuge in churches, schools, and other places they believed would protect them. In many cases, those places became massacre centers. People were hunted from their homes. Families were torn apart. Neighbors were sometimes forced to participate against neighbors. Yet, there were also Rwandans who resisted. Some hid Tutsi families, and some refused to participate, and some even went as far as risking their lives to save others. On May 17th, the United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 918, expanding UNAMI's mandate and imposing an arms embargo. But the response came while the genocide was already underway. The Rwanda tragedy exposed the devastating consequences of international hesitation. The question remains one of the most important lessons of 1994. What happens when the international community receives warnings but fail to act quickly enough? By July 1994, the Rwanda Patriotic Front had captured Kigali and was taking control of the country. Government forces and extremist leaders fled towards neighboring Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo. The genocide came to an end, but Rwanda had been devastated. More than 500,000 people were dead. Millions had been displaced. Families had disappeared, and an entire nation faced the enormous task of rebuilding. The end of the killings did not mean the end of the search for justice. In November 1994, the United Nations established the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. In 1998, the tribunal delivered a historic judgment in the case of Jean-Paul Akayesu. He was convicted of genocide and crimes against humanity. The judgment became a landmark in international criminal law, including its recognition of sexual violence as an act that could constitute genocide under particular circumstances. Rwanda's story is not simply a story about hatred, it's a story about how discrimination can become political propaganda, how propaganda can become dehumanization, and how dehumanization can become mass violence. But it is also a story of survival. Rwanda's survivors rebuilt their lives, and the country rebuilt itself. Today, memorials preserve the memory of those who were murdered, and the lesson of 1994 remains clear. Genocide does not begin with the first killing. It begins earlier. It begins with hatred, dehumanization, discrimination, and silence. Remembering Rwanda means remembering not only what happened, but what the world must do to prevent it from happening again. Never again. This is the story of the Rwanda Genocide of 1994.